Hello, ladies. It's Renee, host of the Welcome to Your Life podcast. Have you thought of recording your own podcast, but the thought of learning new technology was too frightening? I know exactly how you feel. That's how I felt until I found Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and it's free. You can record from your phone or your computer, and the creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many, many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Trust me, you will not regret it. You are listening to the award-winning Welcome to Your Life, Midlife Made Easier podcast. I am your host, certified empowerment coach and yoga teacher, Renee. WTYL is a lifestyle podcast for successful midlife women who feel burnt out from putting everyone else first and who wake up thinking there has to be more to life than this. My mission is to help you increase your self-confidence, self-love, and self-care so that you can reclaim your time, your energy, and live your life without frustration, anger, or overwhelm. If that sounds good, then let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Welcome to Your Life, Midlife Made Easier podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Lisa Copeland. Lisa is a leading internationally recognized love coach and dating expert for women over 50, yay. Through her program, Finding a Quality Man Over 50, Lisa inspires and teaches women how to feel confident, empowered, and able to enjoy dating. She has strategies for putting yourself out there in a way that is true to yourself and successful at the same time. And you can get a free copy of her ebook, The Little Known Secrets to Finding a Quality Man, and I will post the link to the ebook in the show notes, so make sure you check that out. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Hi, Renee. It's so nice being here. Thank you for having me on your show today.
I'm so glad to have you. So by the time this airs, the first quarter of the year will have ended. Did you make any New Year's resolutions or set any big goals for this year?
Business-wise or personal-wise?
Whatever you'd like to share.
Well, I'd say business-wise, I set a goal of helping 60 women through my program this year to give them everything they need, tool-wise, and most importantly, support for attracting, meeting, and keeping a good guy. Because I love doing that. it is such a passion for me to help women, first of all, feel really good about themselves, and then to understand men, something we were not really taught to do, and then giving them the skills to go out and find the right man. And during COVID, I had a lot of women find love because people are really serious about, making this happen in their life.
That is so exciting because you would think during a global pandemic, that might be the last thing that we're thinking about. But actually, I think because we have been forced to shelter in place, it gave us some time, I think, to really start thinking about what we want for our lives.
Yes, I agree. And I think people stopped playing a lot of the games they were playing. And I taught them how to do it safely so that they could find love. Because when, in like last summer, there were no vaccines. They had to really take it slow. And it was a really cool process because it was a lot like courting. Before you exposed yourself to someone, you really got to know them as a friend, like the old days. And then virtually you did it. And then you would, safely meet with masks on. And then if you liked each other, you created a bubble. And, it was like it was a whole process. But they got deeper connections with men, and it was really powerful to see. Now that there's vaccines, it's a lot easier and to do. And if you don't get a vaccine, that's okay too. You can still safely date. You just have to be safe about it for yourself. Either way is fine.
That sounds exciting. So tell us, how did you become a love coach and dating expert?
Well, I was in a financial situation where I really had to do something. And, I had to start working. And I had never really worked. I mean, I created a business in I'd say my late 30s, a photography business. I was really good taking pictures, and people would say, "Oh, you take the best pictures," and which, by the way, helps with teaching women how to get good pictures for online dating. But I started this business, and that is really the only time I worked for money. It was very part-time. It was fun, but I was done like at the time when 2000 came around. So then I just volunteered a lot, and then I got in a financial situation with how the world was in 2007 and 8 and 9 and 10, and I had to start working. So I woke up one morning after my mom died, about a month after my mom died, and I thought, I want to be a speaker. Maybe I can become a business person this way. And I flew out to California and saw this guy who talked about speaking, but he did not resonate with me. And somehow I got connected to another guy who's not in business anymore. He got tired of the whole process, and I don't know what he's doing, but his name was Greg Habistrat, and he taught you how to create a business online. And so the real key was, he said, "What are you good at?" And what was I good at? Dating. And I started dating in my 40s, but I was in my 50s when my mother passed away. And I decided, it's more fun in my 50s. I really didn't know what I was doing in my 40s. I was miserable then. But in my 50s, I was having fun. I had learned so much, and I thought, so many women are now getting divorced and losing spouses, passing away, and there's a lot of single women out there who could use help. I know how miserable I was in my 40s. I cried all the time. And so he said, "Okay, you're good at dating. So what is the biggest pain thing that people have with dating?" And it's finding a quality man. Most women think there's no one out there. So that's how that's how my business got named. That's how I got into my business. And I've been doing it. This is my 10th year.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that so many of us, I'm over 50, and when you get to be, in midlife, we stop dreaming or thinking about, what can we do for our future, and we just kind of riff through life instead of really, making some bold changes. And you made a bold change.
Yeah, but my belief was, looking back on it, I believe the whole circumstances that happened were to push me into this, which is really my life purpose. And it's really helping women, and because it is such a passion for me. And I think if I hadn't had those circumstances happen, I wouldn't have done it. And I felt kind of aimless. I really felt sort of aimless prior to getting into this business. I would think, God, is this all life is about? Because I never really had drive or goals or a purpose, before that. I got a late start on all this.
That's fine. So what do you think about midlife women today? Do you think that we are more empowered than we used to be, like when our moms were in midlife, or do you think that society still expects us to just blend in?
Well, I think women over 50 now have different lives than our mothers had. They stayed in marriages, and our generation has not. And it's put women into circumstances totally different, financially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. So I think that, yes, there have been changes. There were people whose spouse died in our parents' age, but most people stayed in a marriage, even if it was a loveless marriage. So people have had to change, and it's been like a force, they've had to change. But an interesting thing I do notice, I have married friends and single friends, and I notice that the married friends are like our parents were. And the single friends are very different because they've had to grow. They've had to make changes. They've had to shift their lives and get totally different mindsets from how they thought life was going to be. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And I think that's where some of us get stuck, in that we don't realize that we need a mindset shift, that we can't use the same tools that we were using in our previous lives to create a new life. And so I think it's sad. I find it sad when women are just stuck in, relationships that don't work, whether that's with spouses or their kids, or they just find themselves not being able to move on from heartache or, bad breakups. And it's all about the mindset. It's all about, and that's where our healing begins. Our healing begins not outside of ourselves, but within, and that starts with our minds.
Right. I so agree with you. I see it in dating all the time with women thinking there's no one out there, or men only like younger women. Plenty of men love women, the same age as them or close to the same age as them. Or who's going to love me now in my 50s? I look so different. And the thing is when you meet a guy, he doesn't know what you look like in your 20s. He's attracted to where you are today.
Wow, that makes so much sense. I never even thought of that. I, was talking to a couple of women in our group about this topic, and they're like, I'll never date. Like, why would I date? Because, I've gained weight, my hair is gray, or, my hair is thinning, or, some physical thing that they think would deter men from being attracted to them. But like you said, these men didn't know us when we were 21, so they're not comparing us. We're comparing ourselves to the way we looked when we were 21, and then we're talking ourselves out of, possibly finding happiness now.
Right. It's I had a man once say to me, men don't pick women's parts and pieces apart. They like a woman for who she is or they don't. We as women pick ourselves apart because we see this wrinkle, like you said, this piece of our hair that may not be there that was there before, this and this and this and this. But the real key, your real beauty, you said it already, starts from within, and it's how you glow that makes a man attracted to you. Also how a man feels around you as well. But how you glow, your passion for life lights you up. And that is what a man loves about a woman, is a woman who's really lit up, who's really happy and passionate about her life and who she is and what she's doing. And, I think as we get older, and as this pandemic ends, please God, everybody can go out again. I think getting out there and getting, instead of living Groundhog Day every day, that movie Groundhog Day where,
yes.
What's new? Nothing.
Nothing.
Everything's the same every day. But so even when it is the same every day, you do want to find something every day that's fun for you to do. Well, even if it's something as simple as, one of the things I love doing, I try not to do it too often because it has sugar involved, but I love going to bed with hot chocolate. And it just lights me up to get into bed with this hot chocolate and whipped cream. It's the whipped cream I really like, but, it's like, every day, find something that lights you up, whether it's going out in nature is something that really lights me up as well. And I think over the past year, we've been forced to see what we're really made out of versus outside influences that we were doing to run away from really seeing ourselves. I think it's been an opportunity to truly go inside and find yourself again.
So what do you say?
Not so easy, but yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, Renee.
No, not so easy. But what do you
Easier
say?
said than done.
Right. To women who find that their self-confidence is declining, not just in dating, but just in, every area of their lives, because they're getting older, and they just find that it's easier to just go along than to push upstream.
Well, their personal self-confidence is where I come from with women, and that is really helping them be grateful or about different parts of their physical being. We're so busy criticizing ourselves, those arms that are starting to look like our grandma's arms as we lift our arms, or the skin on the top of our hands, or the wrinkles or the spots or whatever. But your arms, you can be grateful for because they can hug the people you love. They may not be how they were in their 20s, but they still are give us so much pleasure. Same with our hands. It can cook the food you love cooking for those you love, or to nourish your own body. And then it helps to really get back on track by remembering the great things about your personality. It might be that you love to laugh, that you're funny, that you're loyal, you're a loyal friend, that you're a great parent or grandparent, and you want to make a list of that. And then you want to make a list of things you're good at, like cooking or whatever it is. It could be, or learning, or your spirituality, or whatever it is. And then what you're most passionate about. So what I'll do with clients is we create these lists, about 15 items for each of those 4 areas. And then when they're all together, I'll say, can I share something with you about a friend of mine? And I will go through the list and say, like, my friend has beautiful blue eyes. She has amazing hair. It's what they've told me. And it makes women really teary because, and they'll say to me, wow, she sounds pretty amazing. That's how much we forget how amazing we are. And we got to give it back to ourselves. You can't look for it first outside yourself, that validation. You got to give it back to yourself. And clients use that, and when they've had a bad date or whatever, they go back to that and they remember, how amazing they really are. And they're really awed by themselves when they hear this, because they've forgotten, or they may have never known, or may have always looked for outside validation of it.
Gosh, that is so powerful, and something that I would encourage everyone to do, because once you do that, and like you said, whenever you feel, discouraged, or you take a hit, or you had a bad day, you can always go back and look at these wonderful qualities that you possess and remind yourself that, this is the woman that I am.
You're not defined by your hair.
Powerful.
I mean,
right.
If your hair's thinning, we're not defined by these things that we don't like. We're a whole, complete person, and we just forget our wholeness. We get so focused in on what we think we're missing, or what feels inadequate to us, that we just totally forget the good stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. So once a woman has made this decision, I am going to find love this year. And I think a lot of women, made that their New Year's resolution. This is the year I find love. So if you're a woman over 50, where do you start to look for your future love?
Well, let me back up a little bit here, because a lot of women skip this process. This is when I work with women. Before we ever get out there to look for someone, we work on what I call foundation pieces, because most women are missing these. The first one is making sure your confidence is in place, making sure you don't have limiting beliefs holding you back, because most of us don't feel real worthy of having what we want. That's why we don't dream. We don't feel worthy of having it. But it's not something we're conscious of. It's like a subconscious program, and it's usually from childhood, when someone said to you, you're not enough in some way or another. The other piece that women need to have in place is an understanding of men, because men go through male menopause just like we do, and they shift and they change, and they're different men when they come out of that. And so when you don't have this understanding of who men are, it's really hard to get that heart connection with them, and to also get your needs met without going back to old patterns of nagging and demanding and all this other stuff. And then the third foundation piece is having a super clear vision of the right guy for you. And most women have an idea, a couple things. Like they may have a couple must-haves or a couple deal breakers. But you really have to dive into this, because most women have a tendency to date the same guy they dated when they were in their 20s. And if they're single now, that type doesn't work most of the time, but that's who they go out and look for. So you have to be able to identify the man you're always attracted to, and then you need to go out. And then in my community we call it the Quality Man Template. We create a quality man template to find our new type, to find who's going to make us happy. And I find that women say to me over and over again, I would have missed the guy if I hadn't had that template, and if I didn't have an understanding of men. So that's a long-winded answer. I can go back now to where you meet men.
No, that was perfect, because I love what you said about, without those foundational pieces, we do end up dating the same guy over and over and over. And then we we're wondering, well, maybe this is the only type, that is attracted to me.
Well, most women, they can't see beyond that type, because what most women will say to me is, the guys that I'm interested in never write to me, and the guys that I don't like or I'm not interested in always write to me. And the thing with that is some of those guys that you're not interested in could be amazing matches for you if you really give it a chance. But most of the time we're so hooked into our old type that we have a hard time seeing, I call it the horse blinders. You know how race horses, they have these blinders on when they race so they don't see the other horses. Some of them do that. We have those blinders on the sides where we can't see someone else who could really be a much better fit for us. And when I work with women, we create, it's called a pattern chart, to look for the patterns of men we're always attracted to. And it's also a very huge aha moment for women when they see in black and white on paper, oh my God, I really am dating the same guy with different hair, different clothes, different shoes. And that's why
wow.
that's what it is. And when we hold, the reason I have templates for them to fill out and to work with is because when we hold it in our head, the brain excuses things. The brain will say, well, this isn't so bad, and we start ignoring deal breakers. We start ignoring warning signs, and we're right back to our old pattern. When we have that clear vision of what we want written down, and in a deeper way than just, he's tall, he's got this color hair, he likes to go on vacation. We got to get deeper, because you really, really do want to be with someone on the same page, especially with values as you are, not activities. And that's what most women look for, are activities. It's values that you want to be in sync with.
Wow. And I think that let me ask you this, so I won't say what I think, but do you think that women our age become so desperate for love and afraid of the fact that, I don't want to grow old alone, that they accept, whatever mate comes their way and ignore their values?
No, I think the pattern is usually they get so frustrated because they can't find the needle in the haystack that they quit. And then what they do is they justify it by getting busy with kids or grandkids or friends. But I also think as you're aging, it's also easier to do, to justify it, because you can fill your life with a lot of activities and a lot of friends, and it stops being a goal. But a lot of that comes from the failures in the past, and they just don't want to put themselves out there again because it's about rejection. It's hard. I think people do settle, but I don't see that desperation so much in women over 50. I think it's more with younger women when that clock for having a baby is ticking. Because I think as women age,
the old biological clock.
Yeah. As they're aging, we're not run by our hormones in the same way. It doesn't mean you don't want to have sex, but you don't have that biological clock, pushing. And so that's why I think some women really are fine on their own. Jane Fonda just came out and said that she never wanted to have sex again. Or, did you see this article? She said She likes being alone. Well, she's 83 and she's experienced a lot. And that's also what happens. A lot of women like being alone. But my clients want to find love, and, they're the ones that I work with because they don't want to be alone. They want to be in a relationship with a great guy, and many of them have failed, and that's the reason they come to me because they really either don't know what they're doing, and they'll say that, I just don't have the tools, I don't have the skills, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then they, I give them all these things and the support, and next thing you know, they're dating great guys, or they're in relationships, or they're having fun dating. It's not a chore for them.
And dating should be fun.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be like something you have to do. At this stage in our life, I think most of what we do should be fun and bring us joy.
I agree. And the other interesting thing about this age are, after 50, when it comes to men, you have choices. You can have just a lover, someone you see on your terms whenever you want or whatever you agree to. You can have a guy as a friend. He may not be a romantic interest, but it's just fun to be around male companionship, when you're not dating. So you can have him as a friend. You can have a boyfriend. You can have a committed relationship living apart, a committed relationship living together. You can have marriage again. You have so many more choices than you had when the baby clock was ticking, and you had to, have a partner and you got married. Our age group, younger kids do it a little differently now, but you had to get married, and that's goes back to that settling thing. But it is cool over 50 if you could just see that there are so many ways to have fun. It doesn't have to be set in stone. I have to get married.
I love that. I love the list of relationships or different types of relationships that we are able to have with men now that we wouldn't have thought of, in our 20s or 30s.
They just wouldn't have been there for us because you would not have usually stayed friends with a guy because the new guy isn't going to like that, because you went into a marriage. It just
right.
Now you just have more options, more freedom. More fun.
More fun, exactly. So tell us, what are the top 3 things that you think women over 50 should know about men over 50? I know you mentioned that they go through menopause too, which I don't think we really acknowledge. We call it midlife crisis, but that's a real thing.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of marriages end around the 24, 26 to 26, 28, 30-year mark, and a lot of that happens because of the phase men are going through, because they can be as difficult as we can be in menopause with all that perimenopause going on. They're going through changes as well. They are reevaluating their lives. They were in that place of building their kingdom, so to speak, where they had, they got the wife, the kids, the dog, the cat, the house, the vacations, the cars, all that. And then they get to a point where they go, is this all there is? And they start reevaluating their lives and seeing what it is they want. It's why that's an age where men might get pierced ears, tattoos, buy sports cars, buy motorcycles, have affairs during that time as well. And they're really just trying to figure out what it is that's going to make them happy. And when it comes to women, because they're very difficult during that time, women get pissed off at them, and it takes a lot of patience on both sides when everyone is going through these changes, because women come out too, wanting out of that midlife crisis, menopause, reevaluating their lives as well, and what they're going to put up with and not put up with, and what they really want. So men go through it, and it's what they want, and they like having a woman by their side. But they're going to do what they want to do, meaning like if you want to go to the ballet and a guy says, no, I'm not going, but take a friend. He means it. Just go with a friend. They know what they're going to want to do and what they don't want to do. And they also really do want to make you happy. And it's an amazing thing. We don't understand that about men, but they really, really want to make you happy. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, yes. I think when you're in a relationship, because I never thought of, the idea that a man wants to make you happy. Like I've never thought of that, but hearing you describe it, makes sense.
Well, no one taught us that he wants to make us happy. And men need to feel needed. And as women, we are pretty powerful. We are pretty strong. We've had to be, especially if you're single. You're changing your life. And if you've had children while you're single, in terms of raising them, you've had to do everything yourself. And you get really, really used to doing it yourself. So what ends up happening is a man comes in and he says, can I help you with that? And what will we say, Renee, usually, if a man says, let me help you get that box down from a shelf?
No, I can do it. Thank you.
That's right. Correct. And that's because we can do it. But men need to feel needed. They want to make you feel safe and protected. And part of that is helping you. And we have taken on the world. And when I work with women, especially alpha females, they say they are so tired of doing it themselves. And it's learning how to receive again from men, because they really do want to make you happy. And this will take some of that burden off your shoulders. Women will say to me, are you telling me to be a doormat and just let him do what he wants? Not at all. I'm teaching you how to get your needs met and to, without having to nag and complain and can you do this now and how to just let a man be a man. They're not like women. We don't always let them be who they are. They let us be who we are a lot more than we let them be who they are. I'm not talking about abusive men or men with, emotional challenges. I'm talking about normal men.
Right. That is so interesting that we don't let them be who they are. And I think that you just hit something really powerful there. I think when we have this ideal of the perfect man in our brains, it's hard to let go of, that ideal and allow the man that's standing in front of us be, the person that they are. And enjoying that, enjoying them, where they are right now, and letting go of this preconceived ideal of who we thought would, be our perfect guy.
It's like an expectation of how they should be. And part of it is, we think that men are like women in men's bodies. A friend and I, when we were in our 40s and we got divorced around the same time, we were starting to date, and we were laughing because we had this big light bulb go off. It's like, I think we're looking for women in men's bodies.
Right.
And then later on, when I started to do this work, I realized how true that was. We are. Men don't talk and communicate the way we communicate. Men are about actions, not necessarily words. And we have expectations of how that should all go. And so we end up failing at this with men because we don't understand the language they speak and hear, and they don't understand the language we speak and hear. And there's a disconnect because of that.
Now, when you take a woman through your program, how do you help them bridge that disconnect?
So I teach them where men are coming from, and it is from a place of keeping you safe and protected. That comes from the caveman days. It's like in our DNA. And they really want to, that's their job. So when you want a man to do something, one of the biggest things I teach women is to be able to ask for help. But there's different ways to do it. Women ask women for help from a place of community. Like if I said to you, Renee, could you please help me move this table? What would you say to me?
Sure, no problem.
Of course you would, because it's a betterment for the community. But when a man hears that, could you please help me move this table, to him it sounds like an order. And I remember in my first marriage, my ex-husband would say to me, you're ordering me around. And I would say, how am I ordering you? I say, please. He didn't know what it was, and I didn't either, but I know it now, and this is part of what I teach women. It was when you say, could you please move this? Could you please do that? It sounds like someone else in their life that used to say, honey, could you please get your socks out of the living room floor? Honey, could you please take your stuff upstairs? Honey, could you please set the table before, after you do your homework? Who is that a man's really hearing?
His mom.
Yeah. That's correct.
Oh, wow.
And who did he tune out? His mom. So
his mom, right.
Right. And so and who did he feel was telling him what to do? His mom.
His mom.
So when we use mom language, then we don't get our needs met, and we don't get a man being his best self for us. So men respond to, women come from community, men come from the place of hero. So you want to trigger the hero. And when you say to a man, I need your help, or could you do me a favor, he hears, oh my God, I can make her life a little easier for her. And that gives a man such pleasure to do that for you. So can I share a quick story with you of what that looks like?
Yes, please.
So I was at a business conference, and I was sitting next to a male friend. His name is Jacques. He's from Quebec or Montreal or one of the French provinces up in Canada. And this was all before COVID. This was long ago. And my girlfriends came up and said, oh, my God, we have to take a picture together. So I turned to Jacques and I said, Jacques, we need your help. Can you take a picture for us? Do you know what he said to me?
Something in French.
No, he said, no, he never spoke French to me. But he said, Lisa, I love when a woman asks me for my help.
Wow.
And this is when we're doing it all ourselves and we push a man away, we're actually, emasculating him without realizing it. We're actually giving him the message, you know what, I can do it better than you, and I'll just do it, and I'm strong. And, yeah, you're strong, so why do you need to do it all yourself? You don't. So when you understand about triggering the hero response in a man, you can really get your needs met because a man's going to want to step up and help you in that way. I mean, just go to the grocery store and say to the produce guy, I need your help. Can you help me with these apples in this recipe I'm making, that calls for sweet yet tart apples? And then just say, what do you suggest? And watch him go scurry off, and he'll be so proud, and he'll show you these apples. And it's really important, though, one of the things that really stops them from continuing to do for you is when you don't appreciate them and when you criticize them. And it's really easy for us to criticize because we have our own ways of doing things. It's another reason we'll do things ourselves, because we think, oh, a man's never going to do it as good as I can do it. And that might be true, but there are lots of different ways to do things. It doesn't necessarily have to be our way. So when we criticize them, we train them to stop giving. And when we say no, when they offer, we train them to stop as well.
So basically, we are training our partners how to treat us.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good, a good way, as in your program when they're going through those foundations, or in the old way that causes us to break up.
In the old way of what?
That causes us to break up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's usually women, by the way. A lot of women are the ones that come out of that midlife, I'm done. It's not just men, it's women that end a lot of these marriages.
Wow. So tell us about your program, Date Training for Women Over 50. So if a woman signs up for your program, what exactly will she learn?
So I have a group program that is amazing because it gives you a sense of community. It gives you a community, but it also, you get all the skills and the support. And the reason this is so important is because when we talk to our married friends, our other single friends, they don't know what your next step is. If they've had bad times in dating, they are not going to be positive and encouraging to you because everyone comes from their own place. And your married friends, they mean well, but they really don't know what to do in dating. So in the group, I teach them how to do this, how to get these skills that we were not born with, and how to apply information, because it's really easy to go online these days and collect tons of information. You could listen to 10 different dating coaches. You could have all the information in the world, and you know where it usually goes?
Where?
In the digital closet of your computer, because you don't know how to apply it. And that is one of the biggest things when I work with women is I teach them how to apply this and, how to learn it and then how to apply it. And then it's so much more fun for them. They're not doing it alone. They recognize they're not alone. Women say to me, this is really nice because I might have not thought of this question that someone asks, or, wow, I totally forgot about this, especially about men. They say we have to hear something 7 times for it to sink in and for us to remember it. And when they're out there dating and I point out these things about men, and even before they're dating, they're like, oh, my God, I forgot that. And that's the benefit of having a coach. It helps you get the right training. It helps you stay accountable to your dreams so you don't quit. And it gives you the support as well as the skills. Did I answer your question?
Yes, that was perfect. And I think, a lot of people think that coaching, life coaching or health coaching or empowerment coaching, it's only for, the rich and famous. And they don't realize that this is a powerful tool that they can use to move the needle in their life towards their goal. And
oh, my God.
So they kind of, and they kind of, oh, that's not going to help me. Or they do, like you said, they go online and they're searching for things or signing up for all these free trainings or, but they don't know how to put it into effect in their lives. Like, how is this going to work in my life? I don't know, so I'm just going to sign up for something else.
Right. And the other thing is people think they should be able to do everything themselves. They should know how to do it. And we just don't. And today with the amount of information out there, it can become so overwhelming. You want it to be simple. You want it to be a step-by-step process, a proven formula, and you want the accountability, and you want someone that can hold your hand for a while as you're getting used to learning and using, everything you're learning. For sure. I have coaches in my own life. We can't see our own stuff. Recently I had something, a business coach that pointed something out to me that was so simple that I totally hadn't seen.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know where I'd be without my coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she came in at just the right time when I needed her, and she was amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you say to women? I was talking, my girls are millennials, so I think they're 26 and 30. And, we were talking about online dating, and they're like, Mom, that's the norm. Like, if you meet someone and you say, how did you meet your boyfriend? And you say, oh, I met him at a club. That's like, really? You did?
It is the norm
what
for
do you
every
say?
age group.
Yeah, so what do you say to midlife women who don't feel comfortable, with dating sites?
Well, then what I teach them is how to go out into real life, how to learn how to flirt again, and if they ever did, and how to approach men without worrying about rejection. I had a client, she refused to go online. She just said, I don't take good pictures, I'm not going online. I said, okay, well, let's figure out all the places you can meet men, and I help them, with places in their area, because we have a tendency to stay in a teeny little area to meet men. And you want to expand out. You want to do things like meetups and different restaurants and different different classes where men are at, not like a knitting class, although you can make some great girlfriends that way, which we also often still need. But this client, she ended up at the license bureau. She was going in to get her motorcycle license renewed, and she walked into the door. She looked around to see if anyone was sitting by themselves. A guy was sitting by himself, and he was. And she just went up and started talking, no expectation of how it was going to go. Well, they ended up getting married. He was getting his motorcycle license, too. And,
oh, my God.
So, but you want more than one way to meet men. You definitely want to meet men online, and you definitely want to be able to meet men in real life, and that way, when things cool off on the dating sites, you have another place to turn to, or when you just are too busy to go out and meet, go to different places, especially now. All the people I told you that found love during COVID, they found them online, but they had a system and a formula, a proven formula to do it that works. And it was fun. They actually had fun doing it. So, yeah, you need different ways. And can I bring up Matchmakers here?
Sure.
About Matchmakers. So women say, you know what, I think I want to use a matchmaker, and because they'll vet the person and they'll be able to see the right person for me. And most women end up really disliking matchmakers. And the reason for that is, do you remember when I talked about having a clear vision of the right man you want? And that we get caught like looking for the same guy over and over again, just different clothes, different job. So the matchmaker can see the potential for you, but you can't see it. And so you go and you meet the guy, and you go, what is this matchmaker throwing darts at the board? Because they see the possibilities that you can't see. So that's why it's really important to do the work and do the system, have a system in place for identifying the right man for you now, and for being able to do all this, because without it, women they just get so pissed off because they spend all this money and they fixed me up with these people that were so not my type, and yes, they did, because they were trying to help you see someone different.
Right.
Yeah, but that's, most women don't have that realization that that's why. Because
and that's why they need your program.
Yeah. And then you can use a matchmaker. It can be another part of a dating blueprint you can create for how to meet men. And then you'll be more open, and then it'll be more fun.
Wow, that's awesome. I love what you said about flirting. And talk a little bit more about that, because I think that that's a skill that many of us have lost.
In some ways, for some people it's natural, and for others it's a learned skill. It's something they have to learn how to do. And even if they did it back in the day, they sort of have to, it's rusty, they sort of have to pick it back up. It's really about being playful. When you're going on a date, don't just do the resume. How many kids do you have? How many grandkids do you have? How many, what are you looking for in a woman? It's really hard in some ways to really say a lot of that, like what are you looking for in a woman? It's easier to find out more about a guy's personality if you ask interesting questions. Things like, what kind of toys did you play with? Or where were you when this huge event happened? It happened in, when you share history, is what it is. Where were you when this happened? And it brings out people's personalities. And when you get to the personality, that's when you can just have fun. And then you lightly touch someone's hand or smile. Or for women, we often play with our hair when we flirt. Because believe it or not, we're actually showing a guy where we like to be touched when we do that. And a friend of mine, he's now a friend, we dated a couple times, and he said to me, I know exactly where, now as friends he told me this, not while we dated. We realized we weren't romantic material. But he said, I knew exactly where you wanted to be kissed. I said, where? And he said, your neck. And I said, how did you know that? He said, because you constantly put your hand on your neck to lift your hair right there. It's a subconscious thing that we do. We don't even realize it. And
wow.
Yeah. But it's pretty hard to get to flirting when you're asking such serious questions. Like, what do you want in a woman? Well, I want a blonde, blue-eyed, woman who has this job, and she laughs. So if you show your personality by asking fun questions, that is going to make dating more fun too.
Wow. Ask fun questions, ladies. Lisa, this has been amazing. And I have learned so much. I'm going to stop ordering my husband around.
He'll like that. I need your help. Could you do me a favor? Go a long way.
Because I definitely, after 5 kids, I definitely must sound like his mom.
Well, it's because you come from community.
Right, which I'm sure is the last, voice he wants to, hear coming from his wife. But this has been really enlightening. So tell us, where can people find you?
Well, the name of my website is findaqualityman.com. And, again, that's findaqualityman.com. And something I do, if you're thinking, oh, my God, maybe I do need help with this, what I do have when you go to findaqualityman.com is it's called a coaching page. But really what it does is it is I offer a 45-minute complimentary session to see what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And it starts by going to that coaching page on my website and filling out a form where you start the process of telling me what has been happening. It's really valuable because as women, we need to empty out. And so you're starting that process of emptying out so you can fill out by saying what the heck has been happening in your love life. It takes only about 3 minutes. You can to start that process. And if I think I can help you, I'll send you a link to my calendar. We'll set up this complimentary session together and see how we can get you moving forward and on track for finding the best guy for you. And again, you go to findaqualityman.com. Oh, I'm sorry, Renee. What did you say?
No, that sounds amazing. And I'll make sure that I post the link in the show notes so that everyone can find you. So, Lisa, this is a question I ask all my guests. Take your time. But what do you think that we as humans can do to bring a little more peace into the world?
I think it starts with loving ourselves. I think the most unselfish thing we can do is to really take care of ourselves. And I'm not talking about going out and exercising and eating food. It's certain foods. I mean, that's fine. I'm talking about taking the time to really nurture ourselves. Because when we feel full from that kind of nurturing, one, we can attract someone. Because we don't come across as needy for looking for someone. And the second thing is we are there then to serve the world. And that is how you do it. It starts within you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today. You have really dropped some nuggets of wisdom for us, and not just about dating, but about living a full life. Period. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Renee. It was fun.
So I will make sure that all of Lisa's links are in the show notes. So make sure you guys go there to check out her webpage and download your free copy of her book. I think that you are going to find that all the things that we thought we knew about dating, we're going to push them aside. So I'm asking you guys to please have an open mind and download her book, The 5 Little-Known Secrets to Finding a Quality Man. Because believe me, ladies, they are out there. You just have to know where to look. And Lisa can help you with that. Thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you, Renee.
Learn, connect, heal, and grow. Ladies, are you looking for a group of midlife women who are ready to support you, love you, and give you a little kick in the pants when you need it? Then join the Welcome to Your Life Midlife Made Easier Facebook group. Inside of this free group, you'll find additional trainings and resources from me, get your questions answered, and socialize with other midlife women on this crazy journey called life. Inside of the group, we turn midlife crisis into midlife triumph. Click the link in the show notes or head over to the Welcome to Your Life Midlife Made Easier Facebook page. Click on group and answer the 3 questions so you can join today. See you on the inside.